Welcome to the podcast. Today, my guest needs no further introduction if you're into jiu-jitsu. His name is Stuart Cooper. He makes the most awesome jiu-jitsu documentaries. He's a JiuJitsu Blackbelt himself. He travels the world, teaches jiu-jitsu, and today he's on the podcast to share about his life and about his upcoming projects. Thank you very much for taking the time, Stuart.
Yeah, thank you. No, thanks for having me on.
Thank you. So this time I want to start the podcast a little bit different. So Stuart, I'm going to read you 5 statements about your life and you can tell me if they're correct or wrong.
Sure.
Okay, number 1. Most people know me as a filmmaker, but one of my goals is to compete at the highest level.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
In the future, I will open my own gym.
Yep, that's in the works already.
Kron Gracie sent me a thank you note for the cool video I made about him and his dad.
I think he might have sent me a message, on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Number 4, Thailand is my home. I will grow old there.
Good question. I'm not sure about that one. I'm in the process of actually moving away from Thailand right now, but that's not to say I'll go back there. I'm going on to a different chapter in my life right now.
Okay, so that's a no.
Yeah.
Number 5, I'm very excited about ADCC this year.
Oh yes, very, very. Yeah, this is going to be the best ADCC ever, I hope anyway.
Okay, I'm going to ask you some questions about that later.
Sure.
First, so you had surgery. What happened and how's the recovery going?
So it was about, let me see, maybe 2.5 months ago. I was just training normally as I do. And I did like a long step pass on one of my training partners in half guard just to sit in for the saddle. And I barely did anything and my knee just popped a bunch of times. I heard a tear and I got a partial tear in my lateral meniscus. So when that happened, I actually took off to Vancouver for a month to teach. So I did rehab, rested my leg for 6 weeks because my knee kept locking out. I couldn't roll jiu-jitsu because in certain positions, like a knee slide, my knee would just lock. And I would have to put pressure on the floor to make it pop back in. So this was happening a few times a day, every day. But then over a period of 6 weeks with the rehab, like the rest, it was happening less and less and less. And then me being the impatient idiot that I am, here's some advice for people. Don't go back to training too soon because I couldn't wait any longer. I just wanted to roll jiu-jitsu. So after 6 weeks of resting it, I just got back to Thailand. The first session, I start rolling jiu-jitsu. The guy puts me in a lockdown from half guard. And I just, instead of freeing the knee, I just grabbed the crossface, pulled myself into mount. He stretched my knee out at the same time. And what was a partial tear that was probably about to heal with another month of rest, just ripped. And then my knee locked, and this time it didn't go back in. So I ended up having to go in for surgery pretty much right away. And now I'm out for 5 months at least. So if I just waited 1 more month, I'd be back. But yeah, this is a lesson for me.
So your goal is to be back on the mat in 5 months?
Yeah, I'll be back in the mat teaching hopefully in a month. And, that's good enough for me, as long as I'm around the sport and I get to, teach and drill some technique, I'll be happy. But no, like proper sparring, rolling and competition for probably like 5 or 6 months, it's going to take a while. Yeah, it's because they actually repaired. I could have had the meniscus taken out, and that I was really considering that. But if they had done that, I would be left with like 20% or less meniscus. Usually when people get the meniscus taken out, they're getting like 20% or 40% taken out. So it's not that big of a deal. But for me, I would have had 80% taken out. So it was not a good idea to have it removed. So in my case, I decided to get it repaired, just so I've got more longevity in the sport.
So your So in 1 month, you be teaching at in Thailand, Tiger Muay Thai, or?
That's the plan, is to go back to Tiger Muay Thai in a month and teach there. But yeah, I have some plans for after there. Yeah, so it's all the wheels in motion right now. So
Okay,
yeah,
so there's something coming up.
yeah, there is. Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, I wanted on the podcast. I really wanted whoever is the guy running Tiger Muay Thai. I think he's a genius. So it just grew so big. And this week I was training in Vienna. We were maybe 20 people in the gym. And I think 7 people had like Tiger Muay Thai merchandise. It's like everyone who's serious about martial arts is going to Tiger Muay Thai.
Yeah, well, actually, there's new owners of Tiger Muay Thai now. So I think a lot of credit goes to the people that were running Tiger Muay Thai years ago. You know, in 2012, 2013, there was a guy called Will Elliott who now works for Evolve MMA. He was a big reason that Tiger Muay Thai is a big success, you know, because he really focused on the marketing, you know, doing the video, hired me to do the videos. It was me, Jeff Sainler, JP Mustanza. But some things happened with Tiger Muay Thai where they opened up another Tiger Muay Thai in Chiang Mai, and it failed, and the repercussions were felt back in Phuket. And since then, there's been new owners. The owners are actually Thai now. That may moved in, taken over Tiger Muay Thai. So yeah, it's gone through some big changes. The place is huge. It's one impressive gym.
Yeah.
In fact, even though I mean, if I'm being biased, it's probably the best gym in the world. You know, martial arts gym. I mean, it's one huge facility.
Yeah, it's funny how it evolved, because I went to Phuket, I think 9 years ago, and at that time I think Tiger Muay Thai was just like growing, getting bigger.
Yeah.
And I didn't train at Tiger Muay Thai. I trained at a different gym. But the reason I went to Phuket was because I read the book. It's called A Fighter's Heart by
Yeah, I read that.
and it's I can highly recommend. He has like 2 awesome books, Fighter's Heart and Fighter's Mind.
Yep.
The first chapter is like he's training in Thailand, I think maybe late 90s, early 2000s, and he describes, it's like kind of in the jungle. The elephant is next to the gym. And I read the book thinking, okay, there's like not many Westerners at all. And halfway through the chapter, I booked the flight to Phuket. And when I came, I realized, okay, it's already like super big. It's like a lot of Westerners coming to train. And now it's like, seems like it's just grew even bigger. It's like everyone who's serious goes to Phuket to train for a few weeks.
Yeah, we've got a lot of UFC fighters now at Tiger Muay Thai. It's like it's getting more recognized for its jiu-jitsu now. You know, I even heard in Joe Rogan podcast, Joe Rogan and Brendan Schaub talking about how a lot of fighters are going over to Thailand to train for big high-level MMA fights, UFC fights. And then they were questioning, but how's the jiu-jitsu over there? The jiu-jitsu is very high level. I mean, we had Lucas Barboza come over to Tiger Muay Thai and have his training camp for Fabricio Verdum in South Korea. So, and he even said he was kind of shocked. He didn't think he would get that level of training, you know, in Thailand, you know, that like high level grapplers. But at Tiger Muay Thai, you've got me there every day. And you have a guy called Tariq, I can't pronounce his second name, Tariq Suleiman, but he's an MMA fighter. He just beat Ollie Thompson. But he's just got his black belt and he's really good. And there's a judo Olympian called Christoph Van Dyke, who I just give his brown belt. So there's me, Christoph, and Tariq, you know, and Christoph and Tariq are monsters. They're like both like 95 kilograms each. So these guys are good training partners.
So who of the UFC guys is, for example, training?
He's not as, for some reason, he's not as well known. It's because he hasn't had any big fights yet. There's Mairbek Tusimov. He's a 155 pounder, and he's won 6 or 7 in a row. And I'm not kidding. If he can't get a visa for America, but honestly, everyone who's come through the gym, you know, up to middleweight, light heavyweight, heavyweight, he's a lightweight. He's like his wrestling is unbelievable, but we haven't even seen it yet. He's one of these Dagestani guys, you know, like Khabib.
It's funny.
Like,
we didn't
like,
set it up, but he's actually grew up in Vienna, I think, or like
yes,
he's sometimes he's not training out of my gym, but he's sometimes coming by to hit some pads, and he's a beast, and he's just a super nice guy. If you meet him in the locker room, he's like, hello.
Yeah, he's an animal, and not only me, but a lot of people that come through the gym, they think he's right at the top. He's like Khabib, but with striking. But his last 6 fights, 5 of them he won by KO in the first round. And his last one was all stand-up. But no one knows he can actually wrestle, like probably as good as Khabib. So the thing is, no one really knows about him yet because none of the top 10 guys want to fight him. And I've seen him, you know, manhandle some big names at UFC. I'm not going to say who, but you know, guys that are right at the top, and he was just all over him. You
know. What's your plan for your own competition career? Before the surgery, you had some big fights. So what's your plan after?
Yeah, so I was just really getting back into the competition, you know, last year, and I was preparing for the ADCC trials. And I was going to compete at middle heavy because that's my dream, is to compete in ADCC. I really wanted to do the trials, and I truly believed I was going to, after all the training I've been doing, the way I've changed my mentality the last 2 years, I've stopped doing as much video, and I really went 100% and started training jiu-jitsu as like a professional athlete. And but unfortunately, I had a knee injury, so I couldn't go. But hopefully, you know, if my knee will fully recover, you know, in 5-6 months. I'm just gonna try and do as many tournaments as possible. You know, specifically no-gi, I don't really have any interest in competing in IBJJF in the gi at all. I don't think I'll ever do that again. I hope to do the no-gi worlds, you know. That one I'm interested in, but I really like the way jiu-jitsu is going. The fact that you can just do like 10-15 minutes no-gi super fights, you know, no points, submission only. I like that. I like that route. You know, look at Craig Jones. He's like probably one of the biggest names in the sport right now, and he doesn't really do the IBJJF tournaments. He just does the, you know, the big super fights. So I kind of like you can choose which direction you go in jiu-jitsu competition.
But that's also what I heard from a lot of high-level guys now. For example, we had Tommy Landecker on the podcast, and he was like, he thinks the time is over when you can win IBJJF gi worlds and you can win IBJJF no gi worlds. It will get tougher to kind of win both.
I think so, yeah. The sports are really separated now. I mean, if you look at Gabriel Arges, amazing in the gi. You know, I think he's probably, I'm not sure where he's ranked, but he's up there, you know, in the top 5. But in no-gi, I mean, Craig Jones, you know, went through him pretty easily, actually. I wouldn't say easily, but it was a pretty one-sided match. Just a big gap. The only guy I can think of that can do both is Lucas Barboza. He's ranked number 1 in the gi, and he's definitely close in no-gi as well. So,
for you, ADCC 2021, is that your big goal?
That's the goal. Yes, is do the trials. There'll be 2 sets of trials in Europe. I'm not sure where it'll be next time. Yeah, that's the goal. Is compete middle heavy, win those trials in 2 years' time.
Yeah. So this year it's ADCC 2019. I saw you you traveled, you already put some trailers out. What can we expect from you video wise this year?
So leading up to ADCC, I'm not sure what projects I'm doing right now. I'm about to release one on Dean Lister. I just went to San Diego recently, and I did a little project with him where he's basically talking about how leg locks have evolved like since he's been using them in competition, because Dean Lister was doing these positions like in 2003, but no one really caught on to it. But then with the Danaher Death Squad doing what they did a few years ago, finally people have taken notice, like, hey, what are they doing with these leg entanglements? Like Craig Jones was one of the first people to really take notice of what they were doing. That's different. Now everyone, you have to know it. I think everyone's catching on, you got to have leg lock defense. You've got to know the attacks. Otherwise you're just going to get left behind. So I'm doing a project on Dean Lister. That might be released next week or the week after. Just talking about that. It's a really, really cool, like hearing his thoughts on it, as he's one of the pioneers. After that, I've got a bunch of projects filmed, but I'm going to wait until after ADCC to release them because I want more footage. I've actually got some footage and interviews with Lachlan Giles, Edwin Najmi, Lucas Barboza. But like I said, I want to get more footage of them, more competition footage. So when I go to ADCC, I've got a list of names of people that I'm going to be filming for future videos. So one of them is going to be Nicky Ryan. I've already spoke to him. I'm going to do a really nice video of him. So film all of his matches at ADCC and go to New York afterwards. Gordon Ryan, I'll do some, obviously like that'd be a very interesting video. Yeah, I'll have a list of people that I want to really focus on when I'm there.
Okay, but so we can expect later this year, end of the year, we're going to be a lot of videos.
Oh yeah, so yeah, after ADCC, I'm actually going to be doing the official highlight. One of the organizers reached out to me and has hired me to be the videographer for the event this year, and I was kind of worried because I've been filming ADCC. I did the first highlight ever back in 2011. And then I didn't go in 2017. I was very sick. I couldn't go, unfortunately. And then Flow Grappling were there. So I was afraid that Flow Grappling were going to kind of take over and push me out of the way. But I mean, as long as I'm not filming and posting the full matches, I'm just there to film highlights of the matches. So which I'm going to use for future videos. I mean, I don't see any problem me attending these events. I think these events should want me there to film B-roll for these documentaries.
At one point, they wanted to take away your camera, right? A few years ago.
This is in China, yeah, Beijing, China. There was, for some reason, Budo Videos didn't have the rights to film that year. It was some separate company. They ended up getting the rights to do the DVD, but I'm not sure who was actually the company filming it. And when I was there, I was I mean, how did I get in there? I just flew. I just took a chance. I mean, 2011, I jumped out. I didn't have any credentials. I just jumped over the barrier with my video camera and, just like said hi to the security, blended in, and it worked, 2013, I took a risk. I flew to Beijing, China, and I don't know. I just kind of like snuck my way in, the security wasn't that tight. There were people walking around, like making sure you weren't filming. Because I've got a DSLR camera, it looked like I was taking photographs. So every time the people were coming to inspect, I pretended I was taking photos. But then the last match, the absolute final, Cyborg versus Buchecha, or it was the last match of the weekend. They caught me filming. One of the organizers, he's like, you film. I'm like, no, photo. What are you talking about? And then he grabs my camera.
He is Chinese. You film.
He was Chinese. Yeah, he's like, you film. I'm like, no film. And he's like, and he starts walking off with my camera, and I just react. And I think he was quite an important guy because I grabbed him by the scuff. The scuff of the tie. Like, where you going with my camera? And then next thing you know, like, I've got some Chinese police like restraining me, and then Dean Lister comes to the rescue to calm things down because one of the Chinese people spoke Portuguese and Dean Lister spoke Portuguese, so we managed to communicate with the Chinese through Portuguese. And Dean distracted him, and I got my flashcards, my SD cards, put them in my pocket, and just made Dean turns around and goes, right, go. So I just got out of there quick with all the footage. And funnily enough, they actually reached out to me because they wanted the footage. They wanted to buy it off me because I think a few of their cameras failed that year. Yeah, they didn't get all of the matches, so they actually. It was a good thing that I was there because I got a lot of coverage. I'm one of the few people in the world with coverage from that event.
So did you sell your videos?
They weren't offering me enough. I've had a few people reach out to me and try to buy all of my ADCC footage, but they're not offering anything that's worth selling it for, because that stuff is very valuable.
So it's ADCC. What are you most excited about this year? Who are you looking forward to see compete?
I'm most excited for the 88 kilogram division because you've got Josh Hinger, you've got Craig Jones, you've got Keenan. I mean, I'm really interested to see Josh Hinger and Craig Jones come together. That was supposed to happen already, but they didn't match up for whatever reason. I don't think the dates couldn't get the dates right. But that's an interesting one because you've got both of them have their own system, their own submission attacking game, and they're both very good at it. So it's who can bring who into their game. Can Josh stay out of the leg game, or can Josh jump on Craig's neck? Because he has the way I've rolled with Josh Hinger, and I know what it's like. It's weird. He gets that guillotine from strange angles, like that. Normally, you wouldn't feel threatened by a guillotine. And he has a little system from there, if he doesn't get the guillotine, he gets the arm bar, gets the triangle. He's a very high level grappler. Who else have we got? Mateus Denise is going to be in there. Ben Dyson, who just won the ADCC trials. He is a UK guy. He's going to be there. Not sure. There's some big names.
It's funny because you as a spectator this time, it's like you're kind of emotionally involved because you did so much documentaries on all these people. Like you kind of already know them, so I guess it's more exciting to watch the matches.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, I know Josh really well. I know Craig pretty well. It's going to be good to watch. I mean, I'm very interested to see the 99 kilogram division, like Lucas Barboza going up against Gordon Ryan. Now that's going to be interesting. I think if anyone can take Gordon Ryan out and no gi, it's going to be Lucas Barboza because his pace is unbelievable. He just doesn't stop. When I was training with him in Thailand, and his cardio, his pressure is it's really quite amazing. I learned a lot from training with him. So
who else is in the 99? Because I think Yuri won last time, but now it's up to 99 plus.
Yeah, so I think even Yuri's going to go up. In the 99, I can't think off the top of my head who else is going to be in that category. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Is Cyborg 99 or is he 99 plus?
I think he's 99 plus. Yeah, I believe so. I'm not sure where Dylan Dennis is going to be this year. I even saw that he was going to be in 77. That's very light for him. I'm not sure. Maybe they're doing that as a punishment.
Okay, so we have a lot of exciting matches, and ADCC is just so cool because it's just so stacked that all the people are just killers.
Yeah, every single one of them.
So for you, what was first, the jiu-jitsu or the filmmaking?
The jiu-jitsu was always first. I got into the filming because of an injury. I did the normal thing. I went to university, got a degree, and then I had a job in London. Didn't like it, got depressed. I didn't even know what depression was.
What did you work at?
I was working for a TV, like this online fishing TV in London, in Camden Towns. I was like behind the desk at 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. in the evening, just typing just sat behind a computer screen, just doing admin work. It was horrible. And I was just thinking to myself, is this what I do in my life now? Because university is great. It's fun. So I the only thing I had good in my life at that time was jiu-jitsu. So after working this job for, I think I lasted 3 months. It wasn't long. I just quit and just started taking up jiu-jitsu full time. And I did. It was always in my head, am I too old? Because I'm like 22, 23 at this time. Now, 23 when I decided to take up jiu-jitsu full time. And you got to be careful who you listen to, people around you, even yourself. You know, we all set our own limitations. So in my own head, I was thinking, nah, I'm probably not old enough I'm probably too old, sorry, to go far in jiu-jitsu. But that's just the wrong mentality to have. I mean, you can really, if you put your mind to anything, you can speed things up, you can catch up. So I went full on jiu-jitsu for 2 years, and then I dislocated my arm, which, yeah, I've got a scar here. My arm collapsed back the opposite way, and because I was out for a year, I needed something to do. So that's why I picked up the video camera and started to film jiu-jitsu instead, and taught myself how to edit, taught myself how to, you know, film properly. And just by accident, it was good timing, because at that time YouTube got popular, Facebook was on the rise, jiu-jitsu was on the rise, and there was no real good quality jiu-jitsu highlight videos out there. No one had really done these little profile videos on the athletes. And at that time, I did one of my first videos on Braulio Estima, and he had just become, you know, the ADCC champion. So yeah, a lot of things just matched up well. And yeah, before you know it, I'm filming, you know, traveling the world, making these documentaries. But the whole time I was doing it, I got to say, like, I'm behind the camera filming these guys, rolling, training. I'm behind the camera, just wanting to jump in and do it myself, you know, and then I'm going back to edit the stuff. And yeah, the filming really took over for a few years, and I gave, there was more of a priority to the videos, but then I changed that about 2 years ago.
Okay. So did it go off right away, or did you have a certain video that just went viral?
Yeah, it was the ADCC 2011 highlight. That one, actually, the first one that made me realize I was onto something is I did a little profile video on Ryan Hall, and it got like several thousand views right away when I posted it. And I got a lot of messages from people saying, wow, that's a really good job. You know, you should keep that up. There's not really much stuff out there. Your video is getting a lot of buzz. And then I did another one. I followed that up with Gunnar Nelson and Jeff Monson. So that was my first 3 videos. And they just, yeah, because of the positive response, it encouraged me to do it even more. Yeah, it just kind of went from there. But it was the ADCC 2011 highlight that went viral. I remember editing that, because up until that point, my videos had good views, like 10,000, 15,000, 30,000. And I thought that was amazing. But when I posted that ADCC highlight on Facebook, I woke up the next day after 12 hours and it said, I checked the views, it said 50K. I'm like, no, that can't be 50K. That must be 50 views. It's had 50 overnight. 50 of my friends watched it. I clicked it it was on Vimeo, 50,000 overnight. And I was like, oh shit. And I was looking around all these different websites at the time. And like, it just, you know, all these websites like Stuart Cooper's new ADCC highlight. And it just kind of spread around from there. It was a good job I put my name on that one, because the other ones I didn't actually put my name on. I went by a company called Grapple Videos.
So that was my name?
Yeah, I had a logo and a company name, Grapple Videos, but it was my professor that said, you have your name so people know it's you. So yeah, with that one, I just put a film by Stuart Cooper, and it just kind of stuck. It's funny, I know they're not films. I see a lot of people write stuff online like, what? I hate that he calls these films. It's like, all right, what do you want me to call them? A short film by Stuart Cooper.
Is there still someone left you want to do a documentary about, that someone it kind of never worked out in jiu-jitsu?
Well, yeah, I did want to do one on Kron Gracie, and it's funny enough, I was looking through the footage, my hard drives last night, and I have a lot of good footage of Kron Gracie. I got a good interview with him, some good training footage, and I did put something together, but for some reason he didn't want too much footage going out of himself. He wanted there to be one big documentary at the end of his career. So he didn't want anything going out right now. And I did something on him. It was really nice, really cool. I think people would love it, but I can't release it.
Yeah.
So maybe I did want to do something with Eddie Bravo. But every time it just never I've been around Eddie a lot. I remember he came to Thailand, and I got loads of video footage of him teaching a seminar. But when I wanted to do the interview with him, he didn't want to talk about, like, I went round to his hotel room to do the interview, and instead of getting an interview about his career, I got 3 hours of footage of him talking about conspiracies. So none of it was usable. And then I tried doing it again. I took him to another location to do the interview. And he's like, "No, man, I don't really want to do the interview right now." And then just started talking about conspiracies again. And then finally, I did get an interview with him in Singapore. But unfortunately, I was working for Evolve MMA at that time. And because I was contracted to them, they own the rights to the interview. So I'm not allowed to use it. They even did that with, I did an interview with John Danaher. Mm-hmm. And again, I wasn't, allowed to use that because apparently I was under contract for Evolve, which that one I disagree. I wasn't under contract at that time, but just to avoid any trouble, I didn't use it. I used that for the John Danaher video. I extracted the audio from the Joe Rogan podcast. But I essentially had the same interview, when I did it. I just wasn't allowed to use that particular one. Evolve were being very, I don't know what the right word is.
Interesting.
A bit over. Yeah. They weren't being cool on that one.
So I see you have the UFC Performance Institute t-shirt on. Is that random, or did you do something at their place?
No, this is actually, I don't even know where I got this. It was just in my bag. I have no idea where I got it. I kind of like it though.
Yeah, because it looks like an interesting place. I thought maybe you went there.
No, I've never been. I wish. Hopefully one day.
Okay, Stuart. So we are going to the end of the podcast. So I'm going to ask you 10 questions. It's short. You can answer with one word. You can, if you feel like, you can explain yourself.
Sure.
So number 1, my worst habit I'm trying to fix.
Yes.
Or what is your worst habit you're trying to fix?
Oh my God, one of my worst habits. Not being, how would I say? I'm terrible, as you found out, I'm terrible at getting back to people. Like just messaging back. The thing is, I get that many messages, I get a bit overwhelmed sometimes, and it's and I don't like spending too much time on my phone. I feel like if I was to message everyone back right away, I'll be on my phone all day. So a lot of the time I just put my phone away and I forget to message people back. And people hate me for it. A lot of my friends are like, "You never message back." I'm like, "Sorry." So I need to be a bit more better.
It was definitely hard to get Stuart on the podcast, but
yeah,
it worked out.
You're not the only one. All my friends get struggle.
My biggest strength.
My biggest strength, probably the way I put my mind to things. Like if I like something, I go 100. It's all or nothing with me, which can be a bad thing. But I've worked out, like I have a OCD. I've worked out how to use my OCD to an advantage. Like if I take an interest in something, that's it. It's 100%. I'm going all in for that. So.
Okay. Number 3, a person outside of jiu-jitsu I would like to make a movie about.
Ooh, good question. Outside of jiu-jitsu. You know what? He still kind of is involved in jiu-jitsu in a way, but I think this is a documentary I'm going to do. There's a guy called Tony D'Souza who used to fight in UFC, but he is a retired MMA fighter, jiu-jitsu black belt, but he lives in Peru. He moved back out to Peru, and he started this own like jungle jiu-jitsu thing. Like he lives in the middle of nowhere in Peru. I think he's like a shaman now. I think he did a bunch of plant medicine, ayahuasca, and changed his life around. And now he's living on the top of a mountain, teaching jiu-jitsu in the mountains in the middle of nowhere. That would be a cool video.
That sounds like an interesting guy. Number 4. So you're not allowed to make films anymore, and you're not allowed to do jiu-jitsu anymore, but you have to earn money. What would you do?
Ooh. What would I do? I'm not sure life would be worth living. I don't know. What would I do? What do I really like? I would probably, I don't know, it'd have to be something in sport, you know, something like to do with fitness. So like a personal trainer or something like that. Or, yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah. It's usually people only have like one occupation, so I asked the question and take it away, but with you it's like the two biggest things, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so fitness.
Something to do with fitness, yeah.
Okay. Number 5. I don't want to put you in a bad spot, but it's Jiu-Jitsu Endgame. There are only 2 Jiu-Jitsu clubs left. It's ATOS and it's Danaher Death Squad. And you have to join one. Who do you join?
Ooh, wow. You know what? It would be ATOS, because I think they're just as good. And I know all the guys at ATOS better than the guys in that squad. So I'm pretty good friends with Josh Inger. I know Andre pretty well, Lucas Barboza. So yeah, I like those guys. So it would be ATOS.
Okay. So no bad blood too.
No, not at all. Although I do love John Danaher's DVDs. I have learned so much from watching his DVDs. And I thought about this. If I was like 10 years younger, I would probably consider moving out to be under John Danaher to learn. You know, I think he's that good. I like his style, you know.
If I had to rate my Thai language from 1 to 10, 10 is being great.
My Thai language?
Yeah.
It's a 0.
0?
I know like 2 words.
Okay, so you can't order a breakfast or something in Thai?
No, I can say hello, that's it. It's pretty embarrassing considering I've been out there for so long. But yeah, like I said, like my concentration is like all that goes on in this brain is like jiu-jitsu and filmmaking and teaching. Learning another language, my brain's too much.
Okay. Jiu-jitsu competitor to look out for?
A jiu-jitsu competitor to look out for? Isaac Mitchell, I think it is. He's on my Instagram. He trains with Absolute MMA. Let me just get his name. Isaac Mitchell, yeah. So he's a purple belt. He's actually traveling right now with Craig Jones and Lachlan Giles. I think he's been at the Danaher Death Squad for a little bit in New York, but he's one to watch.
Okay, Isaac Mitchell.
Definitely.
You can trade places with one person for one day. Who would you trade with?
One person for one day. Dan Bilzerian.
I wish I had more time for.
I wish I had more time. My girlfriend. It's a tough one. Yeah.
That's the answer your girlfriend's gonna like.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, number 10 and the last one. One thing people don't know about me.
One thing people don't know about me. It's a tough one.
It's a hard one. Do you play any weird computer games? Any weird?
No. I'm not into computer games. Never have been really. I'm really into, I don't know, it's not that big of a thing. Yeah, there's nothing unusual that I'm really into.
You're not collecting stamps, nothing crazy?
No. I suppose, I'm not sure people know this, but I have a real big interest in like, different like herbs and stuff, like I like sampling, like, I went out to try ayahuasca, San Pedro, like DMT. I take a big interest in these things like psilocybin. I'm experimenting with microdosing psilocybin mushrooms right now. Recently experimented with some LSD. When I was in Thailand, I was making my own kratom. You know, yeah, I'm into stuff like that. You know, all these different herbs that do different things. You know,
Okay.
yeah, healing medicines. I'm really into that. Take an interest in it.
Yeah.
Find it fascinating.
I already told you before the podcast what's kind of in the same direction, I think, is meditation. So I can really meditation.
I wish I had more time for meditation. I think that I say that, but I do have time for meditation. We all do. We just gotta, do it.
What the meditation teacher told us when I did the meditation, he recommended us to do 2 hours of meditation a day, which is a lot.
Yeah.
But he said, if you meditate, your sleep, if you need 8 hours of sleep, you only need 7 hours of sleep. And then you're way more focused of doing your work. So you kind of get back these hours.
Yeah.
That's what he told us.
Right.
Now, I'm trying to meditate for half an hour and I see the benefits, but
definitely.
You win a lot. You win back time, actually, I think.
Yeah, it definitely helps with my concentration because when I'm editing, I have a very short attention span. Like after about 2 hours, I get fidgety. I lose the flow state, the creative state that I'm in. I just want to go and do something. So I go and do some meditation for like 25 minutes, puts me like right back into that flow state again. I feel like I can just sit there and just get a few more hours in. It helps me with that. Yeah.
So Stuart, it's on you. So if you want to share something with the listeners, it's your time.
No, I mean, there's some things happening. I'll be at ADCC. I'll be back there this year, so I'll be filming that. But it's going to be. I'm going to tell everyone soon, but I'm going to be moving on to something else soon.
Okay, so there's a big announcement soon coming from Stuart.
Yeah. So yeah, the future's looking.
Don't check Twitter and Instagram all the time. You will. you will find out if he announces. And
yeah,
thank you very much for taking the time. It was really interesting talking to you. I mean, I think you influenced a lot of people, got them into jiu-jitsu or made them stay into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So
cool. Yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you very much for the time. And thank you very much for listening, everyone. That was the podcast. Bye-bye. See you.